Traveling around the country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. And I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. Yeah. I feel it. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me.
Day, July 29th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can call in and express your thoughts, your opinions, your commentaries. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Well, a lot is going on. Let me first start with the trauma caused here in New York on yesterday, where a gunman went into a office building, and it's an office building on Park Avenue in Manhattan, and shot and killed 4 people, including a police officer. And they feel his name has been released as 27-year-old Shane Tomorrow, a resident of Las Vegas. And he had CTE claims from playing football at a younger age, and they felt that he was targeting the NFL headquarters there at 345 Park Avenue. And I must have been maybe 9 blocks from it. And as God would have it, we did not go up Park Avenue to where I was going to a meeting. We went up Madison, which was a block over. Otherwise, I would have been driving right past what happened. But it shows us the 2 issues that are concerning that this country has not dealt with, and that is the dealing with mental illness in a real way, and dealing with gun control. For this guy to be able to get a rifle, AR-15, and drive cross-country from Nevada to New York and be in the state of mind where he could leave a note talking about his problems with mental health issues at a time that they're cutting mental health issues budgets is scary, and I think a warning. And certainly I send my condolences to the families of those that lost. It could have been anybody. But it absolutely tells me and you we need to really force this country to deal with these issues. The second thing that is morally outrageous to me has my hair standing up on my arms, and is the continued famine, forced famine, I might add, in Gaza. Watching these young babies, children starving to death. It's no excuse to me, no rationale on how in the 21st century the world could sit by and watch children starve to death. And whether it is in Gaza, whether it's in Sudan, wherever it is, what has happened to the humanity of world leaders to allow stuff to happen and use starving babies as leverage for whatever their political goals may be. I mean, this needs to be called out and stopped, whether it's Netanyahu, whether it's some coup leader in Sudan. This is unquestionably some wickedness to let babies starve to death. On the political scene, we see that New York may be the following state with Texas in terms of redrawing maps. The redistricting fight that New York has said that they're going to introduce a bill that would allow the state to redraw its congressional maps mid-decade, but only if a state like Texas acts first. So what the play is here, Texas under Greg Abbott, as governor, has said they're going to redraw the maps, and they want to try to redraw it where they can pick up 5 congressional seats. Hochul in New York is saying, yep, you do that, and we'll redraw the map and take out 4 or 5 of the Republican seats here in New York. Interesting. Maybe that we can see somebody starting to stand up on these issues. Trump administration has put Duke University under federal investigation for alleged race-based discrimination. The Trump administration's Education, Health, and Human Services Department have launched a probe into Duke University and Duke Law School alleging discriminatory practices in selecting journal members, hiring, admissions, scholarships based on race. Federal officials are pressing Duke to review and revise its policies, making potential personnel changes and creating merit and civil rights committee. They're saying they're discriminating against whites. This is what we're facing now. This administration is saying that to have DEI or to have college programs to shift a lot of the exclusion of the past out to inclusion, well, that's racist, violates whites' civil rights. Yeah, you heard me. That's what they're saying. You heard me right. And talking about politics, Democrats regain an edge with young voters, but is shrinking. Democrats have held a 6-point lead among voters age 18 to 29, according to the Pew poll, the latest data. An improvement from recent years, but a sharp drop from the 32-point advantage they had in 2020. Kamala Harris won young voters by 4%, whereas Biden had a 25% margin that he won it by in 2020. And overall partisanship favors Republicans. So I'd be interested in you asking, well, let me ask you. I'd be interested in you answering the question, why are Democrats worse now with young voters than they were under an older man like Biden? And what should be done to appeal to more voters, young and old? There's an article in the New York Times by Mara Gay. You see her sometimes as guest on MSNBC, and she talks about how Zoran Mamdani can't succeed and progressives can't succeed without the black vote. And she said older and younger black vote. Y'all can win an election here and there, but you can't maintain anything, and you can't, as a movement, move forward without the black vote. And my question is, what do we do to make them earn that vote? And what do we do to attract younger voters to go with us? If we use the block, it's almost what we It's like God gave us the slingshot. It's in our hand. We got to pull the slingshot. So let's talk about all of this. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Keeping it real. Be right back. One year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going at Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10, 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, met with the chairman of the board, met with the CEO. I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. So what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump says he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
You got to be the new thing. This is not about likes on Facebook. This is about changes in our society. We got a hostile bigot in the White House, and we don't need a popularity contest. We need people that are grounded and rooted in this and gonna fight with all they got. Jesus went up on the mountain and told his disciples. Reverend Toon said, y'all pray with me. They went to sleep. And when they looked up, they say that he had gone up on the mountain they termed transfiguration. Is that in the book? And he was talking to Moses and Elijah. If Jesus had to talk to those that preceded him, then how you so brilliant you ain't got to talk to nobody? So as we embark on dealing with this DEI fight, I wanted to read, I studied all week, what would Dr. King be saying? What would Reverend Jackson be saying? That's what we do. This ain't a Sharpton thing or whoever thing. This is a thing in continuity. If Dr. King can shut down the Montgomery bus boycott when we couldn't even ride the front of the bus, if Jesse Jackson could take on major corporations before we had cell phones, then we in our day can take these companies that want to say no DEI and shut them down because we come out of a tradition and a lineage that can do that. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go there and write a message on the message board, and we'll read as many as we can over the air. The mayor just checked in. Mayor Rodney Jones of Queensbridge Houses says, good morning, Shepherd, my Shepherd, and the chat family. Mayor Rodney Jones, good morning to you. Bruce Turner, hello, Nan family from Ohio. Okay. And Mike Martin says, there's no question it has been a major shift dynamic in the Democratic Party. However, the black vote nowadays are suppressed based on the fact that their political systems and so shake based on the new administration. I call it the Trump effect, and that has caused so much division and diversity in the Democratic Party. I think that's a great point, Mike. That's what I want to talk about, what needs to happen. I think the Democratic Party is missing a major opportunity. This whole big, beautiful bill is a real expose to me of what they think of the American people, and I don't think the Democrats are taking advantage of it. This whole Epstein thing, I don't think they're taking advantage of it. And I'm not saying advantage in a negative way. I'm talking about political practice. They ought to be hit, the guys that are running this Democratic Party should be hit with political malpractice, because these people are showing you who they are. And for whatever reason, the Democratic Party as a unified front is not getting that message across. Let me say by way of announcements before I go to the phones, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. We had two great shows this past weekend, and you don't want to miss any. And let me also say that I got the ratings in this weekend, and you did very well, you that supported the show. And I thank you, and I want you to continue to do so. But very, very, very important that we keep these platforms open. 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and Sunday, I host Politics Nation. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. We rally every Saturday in Harlem, House of Justice, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And you can come and be part of it, a communal gathering, energize, talk about where we're going. And I'll let you go by 11 o'clock. I'll keynote this Saturday. I'll be there. And then you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television. And lastly, we've been picking up good numbers on the march on Wall Street, people signing in, getting information, people getting buses. August 28th, Thursday, August 28th. It is imperative that our community go to the people that are gaining economically and let them know en masse that we are not going to allow you to cut Medicaid, cut SNAPs, and do what you're doing in terms of human rights around the world without being challenged right here. So rather than march on Washington, which is what we usually do, August 28th, commemorating the March of '63, we're going to take it to Wall Street. And I need you to sign up, everybody, and get the information. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Or you can call right now the toll-free number at 877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. All right, let me get ready to go to the phones and to our message board. Let's start in Idaho with Mike. Mike, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Mr. Sharpton, for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
And I also want to pay tribute to you, to our late Black Eagle, and all the others who've fallen, who worked or sacrificed themselves for the advancement of we African-American people.
Well, thank you, and that's important. Thank you.
So I just wanted to make 2 notes. So you have this latest shooting from, what's this guy's name? NFL player Dane Tamara, and the news has stuck on it. The interesting thing I want to point out is all these white killers, they just brushed on it and move on. God forbid it's a person of color, and they blow it up.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
hypocrisy is what I'm getting at.
Double
Just wanted to
standard.
mention that. Yes, total BS. We just had that one guy kill those firemen, and you know, it's like if they couldn't find a person of color to blame it on, then they don't want to talk about it. It's not that important. Oddly enough, that's a MAGA guy too, by the way. Not to be surprised.
Right.
When it's one of their own, they just dust over it. You know, don't worry about it. Anyways, the last thing I want to point out is, to me, in my religion, these are the last days these are the last days according to the Bible, and it's evident everywhere around us on a daily basis. If anybody can't see that, you're lost.
All right, thank you for your call. O.G. Kelly saying the Democratic National Committee has lagged in fundraising compared to Republicans, raising concerns about the party's ability to compete. I think that is a very significant point. When you can't raise the money, you can't compete. And I think that it is, money is necessary in politics to get your point out. Evangelist Ramsey says, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. Hope your day is going well. Still hydrated and take it easy. Mother's doing well. Appetite and all. Glad to hear that. We watch Netflix back in Africa. My favorite Jamie Foxx, as she also enjoyed the flick and having lunch. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Give my love to your mother. Let's go to Rachel in Brooklyn, New York. Rachel. Is Rachel there?
Yes. Good afternoon, Rev. Can you hear me?
I hear you now, yes.
Okay, very good. It was.
Sorry. We should have went to break.
Hold it 1 minute, Rachel. Rachel, just 1 minute. I got to take the break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Keeping it real.
Okay.
Sharpton. Be right back.
Okay.
Of reference. 400 years later, it's time to do some assessing where we came from. While Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, Mississippi take the hits, the real trade market for commerce and cotton was New York. The port of New York. As a matter of fact, Joe, the first state to end slavery was Vermont. It was all the way up the coast. The big shipbuilders became rich off of our enslavement. Say our people are not slaves, they are ancestors. They may be slaves to the person, but they're our ancestors, they're our foreparents. The money is made off of the commodity. We were the commodity in the commodity exchange. And they would import Africans. They export cotton and tobacco. And they built the whole economic system around Wall Street. Africans, because they feared the Indians would attack the Dutch, built a wall on Wall Street. That's why they named it Wall Street. It's the Africans, with logs and trees, they built a wall around Wall Street, keep the Indians from attacking the Dutch. So Wall Street was named after us. There's a burial ground on Wall Street, which we should all visit. Those are our foreparents. At some point, they moved us to the other end of Manhattan, which is Harlem. So we are on the same island as Manhattan. Manhattan, Harlem, Wall Street, on the same island. Harlem is right down the road from Wall Street. That's interesting that most of our leaders who argued different cases never quite got to march on Wall Street.
That was Reverend Jesse Jackson speaking at National Action Network's House of Justice in 2020, saying that we'd ignored dramatizing, putting the spotlight on the economic inequalities, the economic issues of this country by never having marched on Wall Street en masse. Well, on August 28th, 5 years later, we're going to do just that. Because with this big, beautiful bill, which is a big, ugly bill that cuts Medicaid and SNAP, with the ending of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and initiatives in the private sector, which gives blacks and others jobs, contracts for businesses, making sure we make the C-suite based on our merit and not excluded because we didn't have the family background in a given place, whether it be academic or business. The people that benefited from that are the ones on Wall Street that deal with the stock markets, that deal with the Dow Jones, that deal with making trade off of the decisions of those that supported the Trump initiatives in this area. So we are not this year going to Washington on the anniversary of the March on Washington. On the anniversary of the March on Washington, we're going to Wall Street. And Reverend Jackson, we're going to do what you said. Thousands of us are going to nonviolently but firmly come and say that the dream cannot be deferred by tax cuts for the rich and cutting those out that need food assistance, that need support with health care, and other economic policies that have choked the middle class and the poor. August 28, 2025, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, get the details. Meet us 10 a.m. at the African Burial Ground and be ready to march. Buses are coming from all over the country. Go to that website or call 1-877-626-4651. No justice, no peace. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, twitter.com, The Rev Al, or go to the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Go on our live stream and send a message on the message board. We were talking to Rachel in Brooklyn, New York. Go ahead, Rachel. Is Rachel there?
She's.
Yes, hello?
Yes. Hi, Rev. It was so nice to spend Saturday at National Action Network. It was so nice. Myself and some members.
Tell her to turn on radio down in the background.
You got to turn. You have to turn your. Wait a minute, Rachel. You got to turn your radio down.
Yeah, let me go.
Echoing.
Yeah, let me go out. There's a lot of kids here. I'm gonna step out.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I was saying, it was really nice spending Saturday afternoon with you guys. Saturday morning, really. and Dominique's birthday, and the reverend that you had that came and preached. We were at your House of Justice,
Oh,
and we were
beautiful.
discussing deed theft. And this afternoon, well, evening, I just want to invite anyone who's in the New York area to Stolen Spaces over at Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Plaza. We're going to be discussing what happened to the Black Lady Theater and Slave Theater. It's going to be hosted by Marilyn Rice and Milton Altamati. And we're just talking about what's happening to black and brown people in Brooklyn. We're being robbed, not at gunpoint, but by these men in robes, these courts that are stealing our homes, our generational wealth. And we are at our wits' end, and we are going to be with you on the 28th of August on Wall Street, because we want the atrocities that's happening to us to stop. We're determined to have self-determination, and we're going to stop the disrespect that keeps happening to black people.
Love it, and I'm glad y'all came. Stay with us, and we're going to stay with you. She is absolutely right. Thank you for your sacrifice, and you and those that are working with you. There is a methodical, in my opinion, a methodical attempt to dislodge people in our community, both our institutions, our home ownership, which is generational wealth, and being able to handle small businesses, which is also the majority of the employers in this country. And they have used all kind of schemes, going to the courts, taking people's properties, taking people's air properties, not punishing banks that will not deal with lending right and mortgage rights. That's among the economic issues we're going to raise at the March on Wall Street. These people have become predators in broad daylight, and we're not addressing it. These sisters are in Brooklyn, and I think this is absolutely necessary. I'm happy, and I want to continue to work with them. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. Demetrius.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. I'm really talking to you, as usual. I just want to speak concerning what's happening in Gaza. It's a disgrace, and what really amazed me is that Netanyahu, you know what happened in history with the Holocaust, with the millions of Jews who were starving, and for him to say that people in Gaza are not starving, it showed me he have his own agenda.
Yep.
He doesn't, because he should know better than to say that. But evidently, he don't have any feeling about the people. He's looking for his own political benefit, to stay in office. You don't have no sympathy. He shouldn't be in that position for people care about people's humanity and for people's well-being. And also, I believe, the Democrats, to draw more constituents into the party, I believe they have to rally around some core issues such as education, health care, and democracy. So those are the main issues that are being attacked by this administration. And also the public has to be educated, especially those in the Democratic Party, who vote, that those issues are very important. Because when the Republicans, they come together and they come out forcefully when it comes to rallying around abortion, and when it comes to rallying around tax breaks. They persistent, and they sure their youth knows that. Everyone in their party knows that. But it seems the Democratic Party, they don't rally around the core issues that affect its constituents, and also its constituents have to pass down the importance of those issues, to their children and within the party, just like the Republicans do. Also, the Democrats have to be forceful on the issues. Like you said, when it comes to the Epstein situation and some of the other issues, especially when they cut in the different agencies that Donald Trump done. Sometimes you can't be passive. You have to be out front and stand toe-to-toe with the people who cutting these benefits, especially on Social Security and the SNAP program, try to be aggressive with them. So that's the only thing they're going to understand, and that's let the constituents know that you stand up for them. So they just want to say, well, it's nothing we can do about it. Because once they see people standing up strong, those trying to take it away, that'll give them the initiative to say, we're going to stand on too. We're going to ride it. We're going to go to vote. We're going to go to the march. Well, they see that they voted for being passive and not being aggressive as those who try to take it away. They say, well, they not stand up to it like nothing can be done. So they pass down to the constituents. But they're not going to be as strong. It's up to those in the Congress, and those in the local government to stand up. Because also when you say when it comes to the local issues, when it comes to taking over people's homes in the cities, the local voters have to really be aggressive. Because a lot of this happens within City Hall. When people don't pay their utility bills, their water bill, and so forth, with the city on the electric company. Those bills not paid. Some cities have a way of confiscating people's homes, people's land, if the bill is not paid. They have the ulterior motives. Some politicians, they give their land to people who want to move in their neighborhood, take over people's homes, their property. So people have to be aware of that, and put pressure on those who they elect within their local office. And lastly, I saw the news yesterday. What happened in Cincinnati when a couple was attacked, was accosted, and the video was almost being beaten. People standing around, with their phones filming it instead of calling the police and trying to break it up. That's the mentality that people have. And nowadays it goes to the voting. Some people's mind is more on trivial things and not looking at the issues and people's lives. It's on the line, and life should be more serious than that. And then it's just a game and thinking we can just go by life, and health care and people's lives are not important, because it goes back to mental health you brought up. Because the person who killed the people in New York in the apartment building, evidently he did have mental health issues. But his issues might not was addressed, but they should have been caught earlier. The people that might not took his mental health issues seriously, and that happens in a lot of situations, especially in the workplace. People go through different changes, and people really don't take it seriously, or they make fun of them. But then after a while, some people reach a point where they feel like no one cares, and all they think about is, well, if I'm gonna suffer like this, I don't let people know that they should have paid attention to me, and they just look at a way to let other people know that they should have helped them, or they want some type of revenge for it. So thank you, Reverend Sharpton, for letting me speak. I appreciate it. I listen to the rest of the show. Thank you very much.
Well, I must say that the trauma and the surrender, I'm looking for the right words, that Demetrius talked about is real. Let's discuss it after the break. Some of us just have given up, and we cannot give up. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Be right back. Keeping it real. One year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history, because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going at Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10 to 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this, we were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as an indirectly from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me teaching men to them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me with other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on the pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it, one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. Just turned 40, and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
Formulating policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
Alone.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready for when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that...
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
know
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we are back 1-877-532-5797, or go to our live stream to our message page at live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. O.G. Kelly saying on our message page, the Democratic lead cities catered to illegal immigrants that were sent to their cities and at the same time overlooked with their homeless working citizens. I like that. Got to be a balance. Hey, Stephanie Humphrey, okay. And let me go to the phones. I got a lot of calls. Let me go to Woody in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Woody.
Hey, Rev.
Hey there, how are you?
Pretty good, man. Look, you're one of the busiest guys on the planet right now, and I used to say the same thing to Reverend Jesse Jackson when he came to the barbershop to get his hair cut all the time. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. I want you to know that, inside and out, to live through all the civil rights. And understanding is everything. I think Adam was told to go name the animals and the things of nature, but in all you're getting, get understanding. And that's what I'm still trying to do, Rev, every day. I still know I don't know it all, and I'm trying to reach out for it. I think with our children and the way the educational structure is in our society, the children of slaves are still, right here, 52% that can't read at third grade level. It's difficult to exercise constitutional rights if you can't read. So all I'm saying is, to you, I'm saluting you, giving you 1,000,000% credit on what you do. And I didn't, I've heard that you were hurt or stabbed at one time. I don't know. Where were you stabbed? In your arm, your back?
No, I was stabbed in my chest, leading a march.
Wow, man.
Yeah, leading a march in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, against a racial killing. Guy ran out the crowd heckling us and stabbed me right in my chest.
That gave me the chills, right? Because I feel for you like one of my own brothers. That's how I feel, because you're out there in it, and everybody's not out there in it. The problem is when you can't exercise your constitutional rights, that is what gets to me. 52% that can't read at third grade level here in our city, Philadelphia, is a sin and a shame, as my grandmother would say. More people want to do more, but you can only do as much as you know.
Right.
So we got to start pushing this issue of reading. It is the same first thing that they took away from the children of the slaves themselves, was the reading, the book. Do not teach the slave to read. That same spirit, Rev, is that spirit that I'm telling you. You're a fighter for civil rights, and there's those who hate that. They hate that, and they'll do anything to hurt you or take you down or kill you, because they cannot stand equality and justice for all. They can't stand that. White male supremacist ideology will never understand that. They will use you, but they will never understand the importance of equality and justice for all. So I get a little upset there, Red, but I don't like to, but I'm just saying that to you because I'm proud, and I salute you for everything that you're doing, and I want you to continue, and you're doing it without fear, so I salute you for that.
I salute you. Thank you. Always good to hear your voice, Woody. Let's go to Lynn in Detroit, Michigan. Lynn.
Hello, Reverend Sharpton. How are you today?
Doing very well. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. And thank you for taking my call, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
You know, Reverend Sharpton, on your opening today, you brought up several issues, and you gave some problems, but you also gave the answer. You talked about Gaza. You talked about young people not staying with the Democratic Party. You talk about the Democratic Party not raising enough money. But the answer that you gave us, you also said that the Democrats did not have a unified message.
Right.
And so, Reverend Sharpton, why should young people join the Democratic Party? We have no leadership. We have no message. So why should people give them money? I mean, for what? Why should you join? For what? How can you even tell people or convince young people to join? I mean, for what? And so, Reverend Sharpton, the Democrats could change a lot of things overnight. Just like if they, first of all, they need to get rid of Chuck Schumer. He's a nice man, but he's not a leader. They need to get rid of him. I would probably suggest replacing him with Chris Murphy. But they need a new image, and they need some fighters. And if people know that the Democrats are gonna fight for them, and they have a plan to fight, then people will join them. People will give them money. The Republicans will come up with a plan. I don't care how bad it is, just like that Project 2025, or when Newt Gingrich came up with the Contract on America.
Right.
They don't care how bad it is, but they will come up with a plan and stick together so people know what they're joining. They know they're joining the white supremacist group when they join the Republicans. But you don't know what you're joining with the Democrats. They're not going to fight for you. We wouldn't even be in this situation if they would fight for us. If it weren't for, people like Chuck Schumer has stood up 10, 20, 30 years ago and fought for our right to vote like the Republicans fight to take it away, we would not be democracy on its last leg. And so, and as far as Gaza, here's what I want to say about that. I think the problem that the Democratic Party has and America has when it comes to that, it is not about Israel or Palestine or whatever. You need to stand on principle to be against genocide no matter where it is. And if you're against genocide, then you're not picking sides between Israel and Palestine. If we are against genocide, we are not going to fund Israel and give them money and bombs to bomb children. Now, for whatever happened, when they were attacked, they can go ahead and they can go after Hamas and go after military targets and things like that, but not hospitals and schools and closing off all the food and water and things like that. We should not support genocide. The question shouldn't even be about Israel and Gaza as much as it is about, are we going to support genocide? And so we need to put together a plan, but it needs to be based upon principle. And if we put together these plans based upon principle, and I shouldn't even say plans, I'm going to say solutions, because solutions do have answers, and we do have solutions. The Democrats have been very successful in things in the past. They've had all of the good economy. The Republicans always run it in the ground, but they don't even stand on their successful record. They don't stand on their successful record with abortion. When it comes to abortion, they're the ones who dropped abortion. If you are against abortion, you should be for Democrats because it went up under Trump.
Huh.
And so, we need that leadership to put together that plan, and things will change overnight. And like I said, Chuck Schumer is the old guard. No one is going to have confidence as long as he is in there. Reverend Sharpton, if somebody came in your house and beat up your children and you stood by, your children will lose confidence in you. And that is what has happened with the Democratic Party. They let us get beat up and beat down, and so people have lost confidence in them.
All right. Thank you for your call.
Problem.
All right. I thank you for your call and being very, very candid. O.G. Kelly's right now, today's Trump MAGA Republicans are helping the Democrats indirectly, and it seems like the Democrats don't know how to swing with that. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Diva Michael Kennedy is saying the lady is on point. R.J. Johnson says what's pushing the Republican Party is racist beliefs. And Michael Epps Sr. says at this point in time, everyone knows the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and everyone knows that all we have rhinos And so instead of complaining, why not join the fight? Because not to bring automatic loss for us especially. And so my question is, why not join the fight, win, and then make changes? And you know, Michael Epps has a point. I think that one of the things that we do is that we make a correct analysis. Democrats ain't doing this. Whatever organization's not doing that. And when somebody says, well, are you a member of the organization or of an organization? Well, no. Do you vote or participate in the Democratic Party in your town? Well, no. Well, then how do you think change is going to happen if you're outside complaining? You need to be inside joining with others to take over, to do some things about it. I think that is very, very true, Mr. Epps Sr. Let's go to Rufus in Savannah, Georgia. Rufus, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Reverend, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very well.
I saw you on TMZ, and I told you that I was talking to you about that before, man. When those people start lying, we got to stop letting them get away with all that lying. And when they start slandering our name, we got to stop letting them get away with all that.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing more that a wicked person love more than money. And you start going after that money, they'll get right then. I'm telling you now. Ain't nothing more than they love than money and materials, man. Ain't nothing. And that's where you hit them at. And they go to line and go to slandering people. I wish I was in your position. I sue that devil so fast.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah, make his head
don't worry. If you saw me on TMZ, I told him we are planning a powerful lawsuit. Yep.
And more than you need to do that. More all them people who got a little, got lawyers and can go to people and have a little, back up to go against some people, man. Because you just can't let them just slander your name, and think they can just keep on getting away with it.
No, you got to fight back. You got to let them know that you can take a swing, but there's going to be a swing back, and you're going to wish you hadn't swung in the first place. Thank you for your call, Rufus. Let's take a break. Be right back. More of you on the phones, 1-877-532-5797. What? 877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Keep it real.
Traveling around the country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people, and the street people, telling them that God has smiled.
Rev, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Come on. a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who could run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry? Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. Yes, sir. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. Yeah. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry? Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind... Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Twitter.com, The Rev Al, or you can go to our live stream and put a message on the message board. The Stephanie Humphrey channel says, I agree with Brother Michael Epps Sr. as well. We all know and see, so let's offer solutions or be the solution. Running for local office is one way, being active in grassroots organizations another. And Stephanie and Epps, I think, are right on it. Kathleen Parks is writing, greetings from Louisville, Kentucky. Our chapter can't wait to march on Wall Street in New York City and visit the African burial ground. We're working on packing a second bus. We'll go on and get that second bus, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here, Kathleen. Let's go to Raj in Cleveland, Ohio. Raj, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Rev, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
You're welcome. Yeah, you know, you were talking about the young generation and how they should approach, I guess, the Democratic Party. I heard one young lady say, was posing the question, why should the youth even join the party? Well, I can understand why she would have, questions about it, but at the very least, they need to join, and then in the future, because in the future, politics is going to look different by the time the scientists are already projecting that and predicting that the whites will be the minority by 2043 in America. So with that being the case, the future politics is going to look totally different. Maybe not in that very year or right at the outset, but eventually it will. By the time these young folks get really, really up in age, and at that point, I'd say they should join because that's the only way, join it, then transform it as much as they can because it's going to happen anyways. That's why the Republicans stalling in terms of passing progressive legislation because they know they're out of time as far as the way they want things to look. It's only going to remain this way, very shortly. It won't be very long before it's, transforms into something that they don't want it to, and it'll be better for the country and the world in the long run. But the youth need to learn. They definitely need to learn politics. They need to learn their history, so that in the future they won't find themselves facing what a lot of us facing today in terms of questioning how we at a point where we're looking backwards. Because if you're not paying attention, the past will sneak back up on you because your enemy, as they've shown, they're always plotting, and they wanted to go back to what it was, and that's what the future will be. So, I was listening. They were talking about the top 100 YouTube social media platforms, and there's only one black channel that's, I think, in the top 10 that's dedicated to not to out of the black ones, that's not dedicated to sport or just entertainment, I should say. And that's because most of the culture is one of it's filled with things it's like playtime, drama, gossip, comedy, entertainment, everything except putting your nose to the grindstone and putting the work in and even understand what's going on, let alone moving in a positive direction, and then on top of it, you got, that's why, now a lot of people want to take the easy way out. They were saying, like, vote the couch when it's time for election. Now a lot of them saying participate in the movement, in the protests and stuff like that, which is, it's a great thing that you have in your event, which I'm trying to make it next month, the march on Wall Street, and because we need to stay abreast, and we need it as a protocol. We need it as a like a model, almost as an agenda to shift our focus as a whole in terms of black culture, staying aware of what's going on. I know a lot of people, they find that kind of discipline hard to sustain, because it's totally different. It's like a kid eating their main course meal versus dessert, when they used to eat dessert and candy all the time. And that's the way I see the black culture. It's full of dessert and candy versus the main course meal, which are the other ethnic cultures. They have their balanced meal, and that's why. That's not just why, but that's a large reason why we not as far ahead as we should be, because of the focus and the majority of the demographic of the generations are the Gen Z and the millennials. So I think the baby boomers and the Gen Xers are the least in terms of numbers. So the future is the Gen Z and the millennial.
Right.
It's in their hands. It's really in their hands. I don't know if they're really aware of it or not. I mean, not to say, we don't have a large part in it, but we just have to keep them abreast and do what we can, but really prepare them for the future, because their future going to look much different than our future.
Well, it's going to look different if we make it different. But thank you for your call. Let me take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. 1 year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going to Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10 to 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator, House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year, we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, maybe with the chairman of the board, maybe with the CEO, I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. So what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump says he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
Of reference. 400 years later, it's time to do some assessing where we came from. While Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, and Mississippi take the hits, the real trade market for commerce and cotton was New York, the port of New York. As a matter of fact, Joe, the first state to end slavery was Vermont. It was all the way up the coast. The big shipbuilders became rich off of our enslavement. Say our people are not slaves, they are our ancestors. They may be slaves to the person, but they're our ancestors, they're our foreparents. The money is made off of the commodity. We were the commodity in the commodity exchange. And they would import Africans. They export cotton and tobacco. And they built the whole economic system around Wall Street. Africans, because they feared the Indians would attack the Dutch, built a wall on Wall Street. That's where they named it Wall Street. It's the Africans, with logs and trees, they built a wall around Wall Street, keep the Indians from attacking the Dutch. So Wall Street was named after us. There's a burial ground on Wall Street. which was all visible. Those are four factors. At some point,
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Don't forget, every Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And I do not waste your time. Every week I have people on that we challenge that are in power. We don't have just people sitting around trying to impress you on how smart they are. I see some shows that just have experts. We have some experts, but we always have a governor or senator that is in the thick of what is happening that weekend and ask them what's going on, what's the real deal, and how do we fit to benefit from it in our communities. That's why we do so well with viewership, and you need to join it and keep those numbers going up. Not just to give me good ratings, but to give you and your family good information, because we really work hard at that. So watch it Saturdays and Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, join me. I'll be there Saturday at the Saturday Action Rally every Saturday, but I'll be there this Saturday at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. And you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television. And, of course, August 28th. I can't stress enough how important it is for us to be in New York with numbers that are in the thousands as we march on Wall Street on the anniversary of the March on Washington in '63, that we go to Wall Street. Why Wall Street? Why aren't we going to Washington this year? Because that's where the money is. That's where they give the tax breaks to cover them cutting Medicaid, to cover them cutting SNAP programs. That's where DEI has been cut. These are the ones that are benefiting from this MAGA era. That's where the dream is being deferred in our time. And we need to put the spotlight on it. And again, people talk about, well, I'm tired of marching. You haven't been to a march. We've not had a black-led march since Trump's been in office. And most of you talk about you tired of marching, has never been to a march in the first place, or haven't been to one in years. So stop. If you're going to just sit on the chair and complain and think that complaining is going to do something, just sit there and stay out of everybody's way, because that ain't going to do nothing. We got to get out here and march, rally, vote, all of that. Nobody care about you sitting home complaining. Folks in your house tired of hearing that. Stand up and do something. And that is August 28th here in Wall Street in New York. We're going to meet at the African Burial Ground at 10 a.m. and march to the Bull right there in Wall Street and have our rally. For further information, if you want to sign up and say, send me some material, give me the updates on a weekly basis as I can make up my mind or get others to come with me or know where the buses are leaving, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can also go to the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. All right, let me read some more of the message page. Forensic accountant saying to Tanya Stovall, when we have a Dr. Cornel West referring to Representative Maxine Waters as being on the Democratic plantation, it's a bit disconcerting. she's been walking the walk for decades. Well, you know, I know Maxine Waters for 50 years, maybe. And I know Cornel West maybe 35. And I have respect for both. And I did not know Dr. West said that. But let me tell you something. Nobody, whether they are Democrat, Republican, or Independent, has fought more and been stronger and consistent than Maxine Waters. And if Cornel said that he's out of order, she's fought more than he has. And I think that Cornel is a great thinker, great academician. I think he went with the independent parties. Well, Maxine has done more than any independent, but what has an independent party done for us? I mean, I hope he didn't say that, because he don't want to get in that debate with me. You know, he and I years ago got in a debate on TV about Obama. And tearing down black leadership is not building up our young people. Let's be real clear about that. Let's go to Rick in Germany. Rick, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good day, Brother Sharpton.
Good day.
Oh, I wanted to comment on Gaza, but I will skip over that today and leave that for others. When I started calling WOLDC in 1993, Donna Brazile was the up-and-coming black woman of the Democratic Party. In 2023, 2024, it is a black woman from Georgia, Stacey Abrams. Can you tell me who is Stacey Abrams today?
She's leading a organization fighting for voting rights around the country. That's what Stacey's doing. I think the one that's emerging is Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman from Texas. And I spent some time with her not long ago in New Orleans at Essence. I think she and I are doing a forum together next month in August, second week in August in Martha's Vineyard. She seems to have the fire and the dynamism that both was demonstrated by Donna Brazile and demonstrated by Stacey Abrams, in my opinion.
Well, the Democratic Party is struggling. I say to the black women of the party today, more power to you. I'm done, Brother Man.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me go to Percy Johnson. I couldn't get him on the other day. That's my labor leader extraordinaire in Detroit. Go ahead, Percy.
Hey, Rev Mal.
Hey.
Hey, I didn't mind waiting because, you know, I definitely appreciate my brother coming on, the one I always tell you to hold my mute.
Yeah.
He was key on saying, let's keep the main thing. Let's stay on the main thing, right?
That's right.
And listening to you, focusing on, for the media, it's just sad for me. A lot of the mainstream media talking points is they like a hamster in a doggone cage going around that wheel. All they want to talk about is Donald Trump, and they talk about this man with messing with these girls that are 14 and how he, after they got 18, how many times can you turn that story around, Reverend L, to say that, you know, this ain't no good, but we got more stuff going on than just that. It's really seriously hurting us.
Right.
You know? But I want to give you an update, though. Look here, man. I'm proud to say, out of that 56 passenger bus we got coming, that's going to be in New York. I keep saying D.C., man, because we've been doing it for so long, but New York, where we going to Wall Street. On the 28th, we got 49 people already signed up, right? We got 7 more seats open. So the ones that can hear my voice, that are UAW retirees or active members, please call Region 1 and fill up them other 7 seats. And we coming in at a full busload. We got a full busload coming. You know.
All right.
And one more thing I want to ask you, Rev, man. I usually don't give you something to do. But I really wish you would check in to following the money, man, because they spending money on these ICE agents. I'm hearing, Reverend Mayor, I haven't seen the facts on it, but I'm hearing that they making 6-digit figures. They spending $6,000 for signing bonuses, and every time they pick somebody up off the street, they're getting another $1,500, man. You know, and this new money that he done put in for this new bill, this beautiful bill with the funding that they put into the ICE department. Can you check? We need a serious check on this money that they're spending on putting people down there in Florida. Who's getting that money that's housing the people? Who's in that budget that's getting the profit off of the people that they're putting there down there in that alligator place in Florida? And who's getting the money when they're sending people overseas? I wanted to bet. If you really look at who's funding the money, it's these doggone supporters that Trump gave tax breaks to where they don't have to pay for the taxes for the money that they actually getting, and that's our money that they use and taking away from us while they profiting off of setting all that kind of stuff up and getting even more profits off of that revenue. We need to speak on following the money, or who's getting this money for this great, beautiful bill that he keeps talking about.
I think you're right. I love it. I promise you I'm going to start doing something on that. Thank you for your call. I'm going to do the research and do it on this show and my TV show. Follow the money. I like that. I'm going to get my team right on it. All right, I'm looking for you in that bus on the 28th of August. Brother Percy, we'll be right back. Keeping it real. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. Stop going through your life. year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going to Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10, 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine got. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, maybe the chairman of the board, maybe the CEO, I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. I said, what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump said he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. To be the new thing. This is not about likes on Facebook. This is about changes in our society. We got a hostile bigot in the White House, and we don't need a popularity contest. We need people that are grounded and rooted in this and gonna fight with all they got. Jesus went up on the mountain and told his disciples. Reverend Toon said, y'all pray with me. They went to sleep. And when they looked up, they say that he had gone up on the mountain. They termed transfiguration. Is that in the book? And he was talking to Moses and Elijah. If Jesus had to talk to those that preceded him, then how you so brilliant you ain't got to talk to nobody? So as we embark on dealing with this DEI fight, I wanted to read, I studied all week, what would Dr. King be saying? What would Reverend Jackson be saying? That's what we're doing. This ain't a Sharpton thing or whoever thing. This is a thing in continuity. If Dr. King can shut down the Montgomery bus boycott when we couldn't even ride the front of the bus, if Jesse Jackson could take on major corporations before we had cell phones, then we in our day can take these companies that want to say no DEI and shut them down because we come out of a tradition and a lineage that can do that. Traveling around the country. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. We're joined as we are every Tuesday by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church of Harlem, New York, as well as a member of the National Board of National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. How you doing, Reverend? I don't hear Reverend Walron.
How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent.
Let me ask you something. I sent you an article in the New York Times that talks about, and we've been talking about what the Democratic Party needs to do is not doing, and it talks about progressives cannot, it was a very interesting article, Myra Gay wrote it, how progressives cannot move forward without dealing with the black vote. And the basically says that it's the article is framed around Zohran Mamdani, and it says Mamdani has done something that is unusual, but he cannot last without the black vote, and that's why he's going to black communities and he's come to NAN and all of that. Talk about this tension, because you pastor the largest church in Harlem in terms of people attendance. And right in your Harlem community, we had this battle with progressives and a city council seat that the progressives won and lost. What is this battle, and what do you see as a way to reconcile, if there is a way to reconcile, for the benefit of the community? Because I've always raised the question, Reverend, the progressive is defined by who? Progress for who? And I think that this tension is brought front and center by this primary race with Mandela.
Yeah, I think it's an issue. The race you talked about in Harlem City Council that individual won progressive, but didn't really step further into the fray the next election. In fact, that particular person made comments saying that they won without the black church.
Right.
And what I realized is that you may win without the black church, but you won't survive without it.
Right.
And in that particular race, I think it was a little unfair to say I won it without the black church, because you had several people running who were all vying for the same base of votes, and that person who won wasn't really vying for that base. So you had a split vote. If it was that individual, and let's say that at the time the city council person, which was Bill Perkins, it was one-on-one, I think it would have been a different outcome. I think the same thing, and this has nothing to do with anything, but I think the same thing about the current congressperson from Harlem. I think when Espaillat ran in 2016, he ran, and there were several other persons, African Americans in particular, vying for the same base of votes. And so he wins by default in many ways. So I think that's a real thing. Now, with the progressive piece, I would add that oftentimes I think that there are people in the progressive camps who, and I remember being in a particular meeting with some people from Black Lives Matter. This was years ago, and getting in a conversation because there were those among those particular activists who were wondering where was the church. And the flip side was they were intentional about not really engaging churches. So I said, if you're intentional about not engaging churches, you can't come on the backside and say, well, where is the church? So I think in this regard, progressives oftentimes do a good job, and I think in Mamdani's case, of reaching a younger base. I've heard you say, and I agree 100%, that he did something, and I think you said this at NAN, that by getting young people to turn out during a primary is an amazing feat to accomplish, period. By really arousing a new block and base of voters during the campaign, it is an amazing feat. And he was able to do that, and I think people need to pay attention to how he did it and how he came from where he was early in the polls to where he ended up winning the nomination. I think we need to study that and understand how he was able to do it. And it was by arousing young people and speaking to particular issues. But progressive versus moderate versus conservative, African Americans are not monolithic in their political ideologies. There are some who will say they're ultra progressive when the truth of the matter is they're actually progressive on some things, but moderate or conservative on other things. I don't think you can look in our communities where we're completely progressive or we're completely moderate. I think there's a mixed bag, and some of the things talked about in the article you sent me kind of talked about how on some issues in our community we are conservative, on other issues we may be viewed as progressive, and on other issues we're viewed as moderate. So I don't think there's no one way to label African Americans voting intentionality, but I do think that those who are progressives, yes, I think you can celebrate Mamdani's win. That brings him front and center, but his narrative is not the narrative for progressives who run for office across the board in New York or across the country. That there are progressives who still struggle. I think one article I read some time ago pointed out that some of our most known progressives, AOC and Bernie Sanders, and the person who wrote the article pointed out that legislating is not the same as governing. And many, quote-unquote, Democratic socialists or super left-leaning progressives have not necessarily won the kind of elections where you can talk about, well, they have a history of effective governing. So I think a lot is up in the air right now in this current race, and a lot is to be said and left in the air about Zoran Mamdani's campaign and what may happen if he were to get this office.
1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. No, I agree with what you're saying. And one of the things, when you do a closer look, when you really do a political autopsy on Mamdani's win, for example, and I had Fatah on, a Democratic Socialist Muslim that won the Democratic Party's endorsement over the mayor, the incumbent mayor in Minneapolis. I had him on Sunday night. When you look, though, at and do an autopsy, a real thorough look down, or drill down, I should say, a lot of the districts that used to be all black have now been gentrified. And a lot of what people are acting like, well, they're making progress. No, because in the black districts, they are not generating the same vote. One of the things that it was interesting, and I didn't endorse anybody in the primaries, Mandani or Eric Adams or Andrew Cuomo. But when Eric Adams didn't run in the primary, he's waiting to run independent as an incumbent mayor. But when you looked at the collective figures, Andrew Cuomo got 44% of the black vote, and Mandami only got 22%. Though he won some black districts, they came from gentrified voters. And I think that that part of the reason progressives are having tensions with the black community is they're not dealing with the issues of gentrification, because many of them are the gentrifiers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a great observation. I think that in staunch historically black communities, he didn't do well. And the politics shows it. The numbers show it. I don't think he can. I think that's going to be a challenge for him. We also, Rev, you run for office, I run for office, and we know how some people approach primaries, especially if they think somebody has. I spoke to a person who's a member of the church, an older person, and if you remember, that day was a heat wave. It was super hot that day. And she was a senior, and she said she didn't go out to vote. It was really hot, and she was nervous about being out. And she talked about the fact that she wasn't as concerned. She was an Andrew Cuomo supporter, and she wasn't as concerned because she felt that he was going to win regardless. You know, and I remember having this conversation. This was maybe a week or so after the primary, and I remember asking myself, well, how many people thought the same thing?
Right.
And didn't come out.
No, it was 100 degrees that day, by the way. It was 100 degrees.
Yeah. And I know a lot of seniors who are, the biggest voting block age demographic most of the time is between 45 and 65, and sometimes between 55 and 70, which is a big voting block across the board in any election. So it's very interesting, to see what's taking place. But I will tell you, I'm not, even though I think ideologically I have progressive leanings, and theologically I'm definitely progressive, without a doubt. But I do also know that the majority of African Americans are more on the moderate side. So it's just very interesting. And as you said, in those communities where gentrification is taking hold, where we've seen victories. I mean, AOC, and if you look at her district, when she first won, was a gentrified district.
Yeah.
So it changed, right? So I think there's something to be said about that. And what does progressive politics have to do? What does it have to do with the rise of progressive politics connected to gentrified districts that may have been historically African American, or even gentrified districts that were historically white that are shifting in a different way?
Let me take my break. We come right back, go to the phones. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Walron. Be right back. You got to be the new thing. This is not about likes on Facebook. This is about changes in our society. We got a hostile bigot in the White House, and we don't need a popularity contest. We need people that are grounded and rooted in this and gonna fight with all they got. Jesus went up on the mountain and told his disciples. Reverend Toon said, y'all pray with me. They went to sleep. And when they looked up, they say that he had gone up on the mountain. They termed transfiguration. Is that in the book? And he was talking to Moses and Elijah. If Jesus had to talk to those that preceded him, then how you so brilliant you ain't got to talk to nobody? So as we embark on dealing with this DEI fight, I wanted to read, I studied all week, what would Dr. King be saying? What would Reverend Jackson be saying? That's what we do. This ain't a Sharpton thing or whoever thing. This is a thing in continuity. If Dr. King can shut down the Montgomery bus boycott when we couldn't even ride the front of the bus, if Jesse Jackson could take on major corporations before we had cell phones, then we in our day can take these companies that want to say no DEI and shut them down because we come out of a tradition and a lineage that can do that. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
Oh, yeah. Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. And you were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network for always in the month he was killed to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
And they can't kill the dreamer.
it's been a long.
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael Walron is our co-host. And Fahima Sek says, Reverend Walron, this is on our message page. She says, Reverend Walron, I want to remind you that black people's freedom and liberation was also considered radically progressive. That was part of MLK's thesis in Why We Can't Wait. And Reverend Walron, you could respond, and I want to say something about that because she raises a very interesting point. Is Reverend Walron there?
Yeah, I heard you, Rev. It just came through. I was saying that I'm not sure what point she was trying to make, but I think based on my statements, I was saying that I think we as African Americans are across the gamut, progressive, moderate, and some conservative. Now, if you go back to Martin Luther King in the Civil Rights Movement of the 50s and 60s, absolutely that's viewed as progressive, especially in the United States at the time. We are vying for the equality and equal rights for African Americans in the midst of Jim Crow South, or in the midst of the racism, that systemic institutional racism that exists in this country, to talk about desegregation, to talk about equity, to talk about justice, to talk about fairness, to talk about desegregation. All that is definitely progressive, but that's not what we were talking about, Rev.
Yeah, I want to go back right where you went. Go back to the movement in the 60s. I became, at 13 years old, youth director of King's organization in New York. The year he got killed. So I didn't know him well. I saw him twice, and he was gone. We were considered, as she wrote, progressive by white mainstream. But we were considered moderate by a lot of black and white radicals at the time. And I think that that's part of the problem, is that we color things too black or white when there's shades of gray sometimes. When Dr. King went to Memphis in '68 to join and support the garbage workers who were on strike and led a march at their request, some black, quote, militants, unquote, got in the back of the line saying, we're tired of this nonviolence, black power, and started rioting and broke some glass windows. They had to stop the march. King came back to Memphis because the New York Times said, Dr. King is finished, he can't even lead a nonviolent march. He came back to show he could lead a nonviolent march. And that's when he was killed. So what is perceived as progressive by some may not be progressive enough for others. The white progressives in the late 60s, when I was just reaching my teenage years, was the SDS, SDS, Student Democratic Socialists, all that crowd. They believed in violence. They believed in burning the flag. They believed in burning draft cards. Dr. King was against the war in Vietnam, but wasn't for burning the flag. So, I think that's part of what this writer was dealing with Mandani, is that to deal with the black community in terms of those that are considered center, you may have elements that, and I think this is what you've been trying to say, that define their progressivism in a way that people say, I may agree with you on one or two issues, but I don't agree with you on others, and I don't agree with behavior in certain ways. And I think there is the tear. And I think that that's got to be reconciled by both sides. See, one of the things I think is, and I say this to some of my friends, is that you can't have elitist progressivism, that you got to do my way, all 10 of my things, otherwise you're a sellout. Well, you ain't going to determine who's a sellout, particularly in my community. And I think that there's sort of a snobbish elitism that the incumbent Democratic leadership has had. But I also think some of the progressive forces are elitists and my way the highway. And I think that's a problem.
Well, Rev, you just raised an issue. The real question is, if you're progressive who believes in a zero-sum game, are you really progressive?
Right. Wow.
That's the question. How can you really be progressive if your belief is it's our way or no way? That's not progressive. That is actually antithetical to an idea of progress. That's regressive.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that kind of arrogance turns people off, frankly. And what I've said is that we need to meet mid-ground. I think a lot of things that Ma'am Danny is saying and others are saying is good, but I don't think that we need to be told in a way that, that's offensive. You and I have been in struggles a long time, and I remember every big struggle the last 15 years. I don't even have to go back 40. When we went into Florida at the request of the family, fight for Trayvon Martin, there was a young progressive group there. We the ones, y'all sit down, let us do this. Well, we were invited here by the family, this is what we doing. We fought. A year or so later, we couldn't even find those people. Same thing happened in Ferguson around Michael Brown. Same thing happened in New York with Eric Garner's thing. The same thing happened with George Floyd. George Floyd family can't even find these people. People that assign themselves arrogantly as the new thing is just, to me, as inflexible as the powers that will not give up when they should give up the power. I think it goes on both sides of this.
Absolutely, and I think that's the conversation that needs to happen. I remember there were some progressives during the Blonzo administration who, I think I might have said this before, but I'll say it's worth saying again. And they said they were inviting me to come to a rally at City Hall, and they were that time asking for a special prosecutor and police-involved shootings in New York State. And the person said, and the two people on the phone with me said, we want you to come. And I said, well, I'm not going to go. And they said, is that because, you support Mayor de Blasio? And that's why you feel you got to be prophetic. They try to tell me about being prophetic. I said, well, first of all, you're not in a position to talk about whether I'm prophetic or not. Second of all, the reason why I'm not going to go to the rally is because the person who makes that decision is the governor, not the mayor of New York City.
Right.
I said, I'm not into political posturing and to get attention from cameras. If we really want to impact it, let's go to Albany. And I said, when you're ready to go to Albany, give me a call. Never heard from him again.
And neither did Albany.
Right. Right.
And that's
so
my
I
point.
Think, yeah. Because I think in this moment, there are people who are drawn to these ideas but don't see it through. They don't have sustained engagement with issues. Whatever the moment, the flavor of the moment is, politically or socially, in terms of justice, they on it. But to fight some of these issues we've been fighting for years means sustained engagement in organizational structure. You can't just go out and publicly vent and think that's the same thing as being on the ground, boots on the ground every day, engaging the community around these shared issues.
I preached for Bishop Albert Jameson's birthday Sunday in Brooklyn. The lady said to me, do you think Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is going to support Mamdani, or is he going to sell out? I said, well, first of all, we need a good mayor, and Mamdani may be the answer. But we need Hakeem to be the Speaker of the House. And he's got to make his decision based on he's got to balance that Democratic caucus, moderate and progressive. So what are you saying? I mean, are you saying that he's got to support your candidate and don't care whether he's the number 3 most powerful person in the country? I said, that turns people off from your candidate. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Well run. Be right back.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advise you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. Come on. We reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can really real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host. Don't forget, every Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 on MSNBC. We had everybody that is in the middle of this Epstein case, as well as the situations around what's going on in the House. We had the head of the Governors Association, Governor Polis. We had the young man that tape went viral being beaten by police in Jacksonville, Florida, him and Ben Crump. All of that we had last weekend. Every weekend I take time. I start today, Tuesdays, working on the right guests. I do not like these talk shows where people have their friends and everybody sit around trying to act like who's the smartest. I want to talk to people that are in the middle of what we're concerned about so I can press them on what you're going to do about it. Make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and Sunday. You in the tri-state area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. And, of course, I'm there Saturday. I'll be keynoting Saturday. And every Saturday, it's to energize and give a community spirit to us. You get strength and energy off being together. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, the only nationally black-owned gospel cable network, or you can watch it live at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let me also say that we are on our way to the Wall Street March, August 28th. August 28, 1963, they marched on Washington. That's where Dr. King made the speech known as I Have a Dream. They marched on Washington. A lot of people don't understand. Why did they go to Lincoln Memorial? But if you read the whole Dr. King speech, you will find out why. He said in the speech that, Mr. Lincoln, you promised that the slaves would be free. You promised. That's why they didn't go to Jefferson Memorial or Washington Monument. They went to Lincoln Memorial, which means that the location was as important as the position. Well, in this time of the big, beautiful bill, which is really the big, ugly bill, where they have cut Medicaid, where they have cut SNAP programs to balance out returning to the old 2017 tax cuts for the rich that Donald Trump put in the first time that was revoked by Biden. Those that reaped the benefits of the tax cut at the expense of people needing Medicaid, at the expense of SNAP, are on Wall Street. They're not at the Lincoln Memorial. They're on Wall Street. Those that have financed the drives against DEI and removing the head of Harvard, Dr. Guy, around that, and now getting business contracts canceled because you can't look for minority businesses or black-owned businesses. They're on Wall Street. Those that are financing the MAGA movement, they're on Wall Street. So we're going where we're supposed to go on this day. And make sure you understand that there has not been a black-led march against Trump since he got reelected. We've had a lot of marches. They marched on Teslas. They marched with the No King's Day weekend. They marched on deportation, all of which I support, all of it. But when do we make our statement? Well, and whites are welcome, Latinos welcome, Arabs welcome, but we need to have a statement led from our community. And that's why many of the labor unions are coming and support many of our black churches, our black fraternities, our student groups, because they say, no, we need to speak to this hour, because he's targeted us. DEI is about us. And we've not said anything. That's why, Reverend Warren, I get so sick of tired of people talking about, I'm tired of marching. They have never marched. Guy said that to me. Well, I'm tired of marching. I said, what's the last march you've been to? What's the first one you've been to? I mean, come on. Marching is not about that at the end of the march the problem is solved. Marching is about putting spotlight on your disdain for the problem, which forces things to happen. You think sitting at home eating some chocolate chip cookies and drinking milk and cussing at the television gets something done? Because that's all many of you are doing. So you should be part of that. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. If you sign and say you're interested, they'll send you all of what you need to know about when and where. And, of course, you can call the toll-free number at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. Rem, what's going on at FCBC?
Rev, I wish I could say a whole lot more. You know, I've been on sabbatical and enjoying my time away.
Yeah, I know you've been on sabbatical. You know, Reverend Malcolm Bird, our COO and pastor, your neighbor in Mother AME Zion Church, he said he wanted to grow up and be Mike Walron where he go on sabbatical.
No, I'm doing it. But I had a milestone, Rev, this past Sunday. Even though I'm on sabbatical, I've had some preaching engagements I had to honor that I took before sabbatical. One of those was when one of my fellow board members, Dr. David Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
This past Sunday. And I was saying there and saying here today that Sunday, 4th Sunday of July, marked my 29th year as a senior pastor, Rev.
Is that right?
21 in Harlem and 8 in North Carolina.
Wait a minute. So Sunday marked your 29th pastoral anniversary. 21 of those years at First Corinthians.
And 8 in Durham and Zion Temple, yeah.
And Durham and Zion, in North Carolina, Zion. Now, because I remember when you first came to New York to pastor, and that was 21 years ago. Man, time flies. 21 years ago. It took you 6 months to get all the rats out of. I mean, I shouldn't say that on there, but you had a lot to do to build back Corinthian the way it is. First Corinthian was not like it is now when you came.
You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we did it, and it's a beautiful thing. And so, you know, I think this sabbatical has really given me a time to really reflect. And also to begin to reimagine. I think sometimes we get to this point in our work, we start slowing down, we start looking at retirement, and at the end of the day, that makes the assumption that it's still not work for us to do, still not a reason for us to get up every morning and do the thing we love to do. And you've said that many times. So I think as long as there's passion, as long as there's imagination and creativity and a deep desire to be impactful, you know, you don't think about how you're going to bow out necessarily, although you plan for it, but you're also thinking about ways you could reinvigorate the work that you do, and I've been doing a lot of that.
And that's a great thing, and you do a great work. Let me go to Lisa in California. Lisa, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm in my bedroom crying like a baby every day because I don't know what happened to our society. They obviously never learned how to play nice. And it's breaking my heart. I had a head injury, and not my fault, but it was so bad I kept going to work not knowing, and I was really fighting for my life like I have my whole life. So I didn't give up until I got fired because I wasn't doing the right things. And I don't know for how long, but now I'm a burden on society where I get disability. And I don't know about anybody else, but I know that I'm in a good situation where I live, but not everybody is. And where I live, I put people in my home that I have known that are on, having a struggle. I let them, if they have their job, and I mean, they have to have an income. Anyway, long story short, they don't have to pay me a damn dime. We buy groceries. If they pitch in, great. If not, it's fine too. I have that very low house payment where I can afford to do this to help people in my community. I just have to know a little bit about them just to be safe. But I feel 100% confident right now. It's me and 2 men. Let me tell you, I'm loving it. Best life ever. I could not live with the 2 men I was married to after a while. But long story short, here I am today, coming out of like a really bad brain injury, and this is what I came out to. And I never paid attention to my government because I was working and raising children without those daddies. So it was a struggle for a while. Who hasn't had it?
Everybody's had
the
a struggle.
Grateful.
You got to hang in
Yes.
there. Yeah. All right.
I am.
Thank you for
I
your
just want
call.
you to know I'm fighting. Yeah.
Keep fighting. Don't give up. Keep fighting. And that goes for all of you in our radio audience. Let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. Let me thank y'all that called in, listened in, you that sent a message on the message board. You that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyway. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Whatever you do, keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.